Tracy here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. For today's video, we are going to be doing my weekly check-in on my budget. If you missed the video where I wrote out all of my spending for the week, you're going to want to go and check that out. I'm going to be using all of that information that I gathered in that video, and I'm going to use it to fill in my budget for the week. We're going to fill in the bills that I paid during the first week of the month, and we're also going to take a look at my variable spending. So essentially I'm just transferring the information I collected in the last video into my budget. So I'm going to go ahead and fold my planner in half since we're just working with this first half. This is my hybrid budget worksheet, by the way. I have it linked down below if you are interested in budgeting this way. I find it super helpful to budget both monthly and weekly. I'm going to use this green pen because I can't find my black one, and green is very March appropriate, I think. So let's just go ahead and get started first in this monthly section by filling in the bills. I'm going to zoom you guys way in so you can see. So all of my bills are highlighted in blue here to make it really easy. You can see I paid 6 bills this week. So the first one was lot rent, and I budgeted $553 as you can see here, and that is exactly what I paid. So we're just going to go ahead and write in the actual column here. Then for my water bill, I budgeted $50. Water came out on the 1st at $44.89. For cable, I budgeted $70. I do kind of have all of my bills listed out here in the order in which they get paid for the most part, so that's just another way that I can easily transfer this info. Cable came out on the 1st at $69, so we're under budget there. Excuse me. For HBO, I budgeted $16, and that came out at $15.84. For Boost, I budgeted $120, and $120 is exactly what I spent, you can see here. And lastly, for our bills that got paid this week, we have our camper payment. I budgeted $200, and that is exactly what I paid. So that's it for this monthly section. Now we'll go ahead and jump over to our weekly section and our variable expenses here. So the way that I did it this month is I took week 1 and I just wrote in our entire monthly budget. So in previous months, what I've done is kind of broken down our monthly budget into a weekly budget. But this month I'm using it as more of just like a spending tracker, more like a weekly check-in. So this is the budgeted amount for the month, and this will be what I spent for the week. So this again is going to go super quick. For groceries, we have a total budget of $800 for the month of March. For week 1, I spent, just looking here at my total for grocery, $212.88. So I'm just going to write that in here in the actual column, and I'm actually going to pull this out just to make it a little bit easier so I'm not writing against the discs. I really love to punch my printables and put them on this disc bound system because it makes it really easy to be able to pull my pages out, move them around, rearrange them. You can't do that with like a spiral bound planner. That's one of the reasons I love budget printables. So for groceries, as I said, we spent $212.88 of our $800 budget in the first week. We purchased groceries for both week 1 and week 2 though. You can see here in my spending, I'm not going to go into this too quickly or too in-depth because I already kind of explained this when I did my expense tracking, but we got our groceries for week 1 here, and then towards the end of the week I just went ahead and got groceries for week 2. So there may still be a few grocery shopping trips in week 2 for just some little things, but the bulk of our groceries for week 2 have already been purchased, so I anticipate week 2 being a less spendy week in terms of groceries. For eating out, our budget for the month is $250, and during week 1 we spent $53.13. for household, we used a big chunk of our household budget this first week. We ran out of everything all at once, and that seems to be the case every month. Like at the beginning of the month, we do one big household trip, and then the rest of the month we just kind of fill in here or there with one or two little things. So hopefully we will stay on track with our household budget for the month. I budgeted $150 total, and the amount we spent in week 1 was $122.06. So yeah, a big chunk got used there. Gas prices, oh boy. So I'm really glad that I did not lower my gas budget for March. When I wrote out my monthly budget, I talked about how I could lower it based on our spending comparison. The last couple of months I've spent much less than the $200 I had been budgeting, but I kind of knew the gas prices were going to be going up, so I didn't lower it. And oh yeah, gas prices went up, and they went up even more than I expected them to. Plus we got a new car, and we traded in our old Subaru Forester for a newer Subaru Forester, and you will see kind of throughout the month how that affects this monthly budget. Like this car payment, we're not going to have to make this car payment because we traded this car in, but obviously we will have a new car payment to make. I'll kind of explain that as we get to it. But the new car that we purchased, well, it's the same make and model, it's a newer generation of vehicle, so the gas tank's a little bit bigger, so it costs a little bit more anyway to fill up. And then with gas prices going up, I know I already mentioned this in my expense tracking video. Not everybody watches every video, so for those of you that do watch every video, I apologize if sometimes it seems repetitive, like I'm saying the same things over and over, but not everybody watches those expense tracking videos. Some people just like the weekly check-ins and vice versa. So I try to keep it short and sweet when I kind of re-explain things, but I just don't want anybody to be confused. So anyways, gas, $200 is my monthly budget. What I spent this week was $64. And $64 is quite a bit more than I typically would spend in a week. I think our average has been about $40, but now the gas prices have gone up. You know, it is what it is. We can't change it. So for spending, I pulled out $100 this week. That's what we do every week. 40 for my husband, 40 for myself, and 20 for Austin. And then for miscellaneous, our monthly budget is $100, and this week we spent $32.68. We did not have anything unbudgeted, so that's good news. I'm going to go ahead and pull in my calendar then, and we will add everything up. I never added up my budgeted amount here, so I'm going to do that quickly. So for the month, totally for our variable expenses, we have a total of $2,000. And of that $2,000 in week 1, we spent $584.75. So if we're looking at $2,000 over the course of 5 weeks, because technically there's 5 weeks in March, in order to stay on track and be able to spend like the same amount each week, we should have spent around $400. But we didn't. We spent more than that. It's fine. That last week of the month is a little bit shorter, so that will help. We pretty much have gotten all of our household items that we're going to need for the most part, so, you know, not too bad. We always spend more towards the beginning of the month and less towards the end of the month, so I think we're pretty well on track. Maybe not perfect, but not too bad overall. So now that we have kind of checked in for week 1, we see what we've spent so far, I want to go ahead and set up week 2. So we're going to track all of the same things: grocery, eating out, household, gas, spending, miscellaneous, and unbudgeted. So to figure out kind of what we have left for moving into week 2, I'm going to take the total amount that we budgeted for the month, which we have here, subtract out what we spent, and that will give us kind of our starting balance for week 2 moving into the rest of the week, or the rest of the month rather. So for groceries, we had $800. Of that $800, we spent $212.88, which means for the rest of the month, we have $587.12. So I'm rating this under the budgeted category. I'm just not using these categories exactly that way this month. Decided to try something a little bit different. So this is really more like remaining, and then this will be spent, and then whatever's remaining for the rest of the month will go down here. Just kind of keeping track of our overall monthly spending. So for eating out then, we had $250. We spent $53.13. So for the rest of the month, we have $196.87. For household, we started with $150, subtracted out $122.06, and that leaves us with $27.94 for the rest of the month. For gas, 200 minus 64 is 136. Pardon me. Spending, we've got 400 left, which is perfect. We never really go over our spending budget because we do our spending in cash, so we just pull out $100 every week, and when it's gone, we stop spending in that category. And actually, I think I want to start using some of my spending money to pay debt, and I think I'm going to do it in a fun way, so maybe we'll do that in this video as well. We'll see. For miscellaneous, 100 minus 32.68, we've got 67.32 remaining, and unbudgeted, of course we don't budget for. I just like to have this line item in case we have anything unbudgeted. I need somewhere to write it down. So I'm going to add these up. 587.12 plus 196.87, 27.94, 136, 400, 67.32. Alright, so we have $1,415 with 25 cents left in variable spending for the month, and just to make sure that I've got that right, I'm going to take our starting total and subtract out what we spent, and that should give us this number here, and it does. So I will come back next week then and write in what we actually spent for next week, and we'll kind of keep rolling with this and see how it goes. I will say that the way that I'm doing this with just kind of keeping track with the monthly totals in the budget column, I don't like quite as much as the way I did it last month with writing out a weekly budget. But I wanted to try something new. I wanted to show you guys that you can use these budget printables in a lot of different ways. You don't have to necessarily use them the way that I intended for them to be used when I designed them. You guys will have to let me know if you like this way better or if you like it the way I did it last month better. Overall, it doesn't really matter. What really matters is these monthly totals. How I keep track of it week to week is just kind of personal preference. But I'd still like to hear from you. So I said that I wanted to start using some of my spending money to pay debt. This is an idea that I had just to kind of help me spend a little bit less and pay a little bit more to debt, with the budget kind of getting shaken up with, you know, trading in our old car and buying a new car. Things are going to be changing a little bit, and I just want to make sure that I'm paying as much as possible to debt, and I've been trying to focus on spending less in terms of like my personal spending. So what I have kind of come up with is I want to take the cash that I have for my spending money, and I want to put a portion of it to debt, but just kind of picking how much I want to take out of that cash and putting it towards debt isn't very much fun. So I thought we could play a game with it. So I'm going to use a dice roller, on my app here, I have a dice roller app somewhere, I think. I do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a dice, and each number on the dice will represent $5. You guys cannot even see this. I've got my brightness turned way down. So, oh, it's still kind of dark. There we go. So that's what I'm going to do then. I'm going to roll the dice, and if I roll a 1, then I'm going to take $5 out of my spending money and put it towards debt. Obviously, I get $40 of spending money a week, and there's 6 sides on a die, so up to $30 of that $40 spending money could go towards debt, and then I will challenge myself to just have whatever's left for my spending money for the week. I don't know, I just thought it would be fun. I didn't do it in week 1, obviously, but starting in week 2, I thought it would be fun to try. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice, and whatever I roll, that's the amount of money I'm going to make an extra debt payment with. What do you guys think of this? Is it fun? I think it's fun. So 5. So that means that I'm going to take $25 of my $40 and put it towards an extra debt payment. How exciting is that? So over here then where is it? Oh, it's on the back of my expense tracker. In my debt payments here, I'm just going to write in that from my spending money in week 2, I put $25 towards debt. So I'm gonna have to make sure that I'm paying attention when I kind of close out my budget, because I will have written in spending money here, and that same money was used towards debt. So when I do my overall totals, I can't include that in my extra debt payments, just so I'm not counting that money twice. But I don't know, I thought it would be fun. So that's what I'm gonna try to do for the rest of March. I don't know if I'm gonna do it forever, but at least for March, my spending has been a little bit out of control. So this is how I'm gonna help control my spending and pay a little bit extra to debt. So at the end of the month, when I do my debt update, you guys will see those monies kind of get transferred and paid towards debt, and it'll be a lot of fun, right? It'll help keep my spending under control, and that's what's most important. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's really helpful for me to kind of sit down every week and check in and see where I am. If I just wrote out my monthly budget and then didn't look at it again until the end of the month and started writing in actual totals at the end of the month, I feel like it would not be good. I would definitely end up being over budget. So that's why I like to do this weekly check-in. That's why I like to track my expenses every week. And I just like filming the process, keeping myself accountable, and you guys seem to enjoy seeing it as well. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I post new budgeting and lifestyle content here on my channel every single week. I'd love to have you come back, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye, friends.